Welcome to Truth by Billie Beene. Today's date, October 29, 2025. Time in Texas is about 4 p.m. So some of the sources I'll use today: God in the Bible, Patriot Subscribers, Ward Carroll, Hal Turner, Alex CHRISTEFEROU Plus. Some of the things we'll cover: Atlas, President Trump, and a gold crown, another monkey accident, and what's going on in South America, Venezuela, and Brazil. So let's begin. So Redacted interviewed Dr. Michael SALLA. This is about Atlas. And he brings out new information just in the past 48 hours. We had two more nations, Malaysia and the Philippines, signing on to the Artemis Accord. And you say, what is that? That is a planetary exploration alliance and defense of Earth organization of nations led by the U.S. There's a rival group that has 13 nations signed up, including China and Russia. So we see the Artemis Accords have been in place now for about 2 or 3 years, with the U.S. As the head of the Artemis Accord group of nations to explore space and also to defend Earth. So we see governments know a lot more than we do. And we have this. The U.S. has had a secret space organization for decades. This has been coming out in the past few years. And the U.S. Space Force is now based in Huntsville, Alabama. So that's going on. And we have this from MICHIO KAKU, his YouTube channel, Parallax, talking about Atlas and more anomalies coming out. We know today is October 29, and Atlas is now its closest point to the sun, behind the sun. So that's going on, and that it has released an object. I put that out yesterday. Many are putting out that this could be a probe to examine Earth. But Michio Kaku's information, another anomaly based on Atlas, putting out more energy, including gamma rays, and engaging in an acceleration change and putting forth a green tail. So that's going on, and it continues to pulse what many believe are messages, and some have put forth that these messages represent much similar to what we saw in the movie Contact, prime numbers. Now, new information Michio Kaku is putting out is that NASA has sent out probes to get more information about Atlas. In the meantime, we see governments, the U.S. government, the European ESA, also the China space program, not releasing high-resolution pictures and more information that we know they must have. So that's going on. And this is coming out from Space Weather, NASA site. NASA says about Atlas, if we see acceleration, artificial lights, or engine heat plumes, then perhaps we can conclude this is alien technology. And again, I point out, this comes out from spaceweather.com website, NASA's website. And that on October 29, today, is when Atlas could engage in a slingshot move to either propel it toward Earth or away from Earth, possibly toward Jupiter. NASA now is calling Atlas an exotic comet. So that's going on. And we have this. So we have from Space Weather on YouTube, formerly Suspicious Observer site, that there's a constellation group in space called the Red Spider, and that NASA is now investigating it further. And we have that in the Atlantic Ocean, it's now being put forth. We have an El Nino effect. So El Nino, most of us are familiar with, let's see. I'll go ahead and draw this. We have the Pacific Ocean, Atlantic. Most of us are familiar with the term La Nina and El Nino, that these affect weather. El Nino is a warming of the Pacific Ocean, La Nina a cooling. And this does also interface with the formation of hurricanes. Now, it's coming out that in the Atlantic, we have similar El Nino pattern of cooling and heating. And I believe personally that governments put out information they've kept secret. They put it out to the public when they can no longer hide it. So that's going on. And we have this. A new white paper is coming out about the May 2024. So in May of 2024, we had something like a G5 geomagnetic event on the Earth. And it's coming out that this was as strong as the geomagnetic storm that hit the Earth in 1989 when there was a major blackout all across Canada from an electromagnetic pulse from the geomagnetic storm. And it's believed that this is being put forth, that the May 2024 geomagnetic storm was as strong or stronger than the 1989 storm because of the weakening of the Earth's electromagnetic shield. Now we have this coming out. So we saw Melissa, a Cat 5 hurricane, hitting yesterday. It hit Jamaica. And we're hearing no deaths, major damage. It's hitting Cuba today as a Category 3. And currently, Melissa over Cuba has winds of 115 miles per hour, pressure 960, moving northeast at 12 miles per hour. So that's going on. We can say, thank God, there were no massive deaths in Jamaica. We have this from Hal Turner and Dabu 77. There has been today a massive internet outage affecting Amazon and Microsoft. So that's going on. And we have this from Steve Quayle's aggregate site, Fox News. Okay. A couple of years ago, I reported on a monkey accident that happened in Pennsylvania. Monkeys that were grown, rhesus monkeys that were grown to be used in labs. And that there was a truck accident, and a lady was exposed, and the head of the Pennsylvania Health Department was there. And he immediately got out of his vehicle and said, move away from the cages with the monkeys, implying that there was something going on. Now, we've had a second rhesus monkey used in labs truck accident in Jasper County, Mississippi. And for the monkeys who escaped, they were tracked down and shot. There is still one monkey on the loose, and these monkeys had come from Tulane University, Tulane National Biomedical Research, and the monkeys had been infected with hepatitis C, herpes, and COVID. So there they were going to Mississippi to an unidentified third-party lab. So there is still one on the loose. I'll try to keep up with that story and see what happens. We have this from Alex Christefero. So we've got Venezuela, and we know the U.S. is apparently priming for some type of military activity. We have Brazil, and we know that President Trump is going after the cartels. We have this occurring in Brazil. We have the governor of Rio de Janeiro, a state in Brazil, without federal approval from the leader of Brazil, a deep stater called Lula. And this police force in Rio, 2,500 police officers, went against a cartel called the Red Command. It's a bloody shootout, and so far the number of deaths of the police officers is 60 to 100. I find it curious that this state in Brazil is taking this action in alignment with President Trump's agenda and going against their federal leader, Lula. President Trump has always supported Bolsonaro in Brazil, and it's believed that Lula was put in his position via a coup similar to the one we saw in the U.S. in 2020 through voter machine manipulation. So that's going on. And it appears that a large part of Brazil is working in alignment with President Trump and the U.S. military. And we have this. China is now no longer sending parts for drones to Ukraine. And China also is no longer sending these parts for Ukraine drones via other nations, particularly the Baltic states. So it's unknown why China is now limiting drone parts to Ukraine. But that would also appear to be in alignment with President Trump, who has said no to Ukraine for Tomahawk missiles And President Trump is now withdrawing U.S. military from the Eastern European nations. Specifically today in Romania, the U.S. military announced as U.S. military troops rotate out of Romania, they will not be replaced. Thus, we'll see a decrease in the number of U.S. military in Romania. So that's going on. And we have this from Alex CHRISTEFEROU in Ukraine, reiterating U.S. no tomahawks to Ukraine. Now, Ward Carroll is putting this out that President Trump has ordered the Navy to begin only using steam catapults and not including using electronic signals to project missiles. Could it be that President Trump may put forth an executive order directing the Navy to only use steam catapults for missiles to circumvent electronic warfare being used against the U.S. Navy? But we see President Trump now taking more definitive actions regarding the U.S. military, and we believe this is part of his plan for the U.S. military's possible invasion of Venezuela and possible engagement of the U.S. military in many parts of South America and Mexico versus the cartels. So that's going on. And we have this from BREITBART. Yes. So President Trump had just visited Japan. He's now in South Korea, where he will also meet with President Xi of China. The South Korean President Lee Jae-myung has given President Trump a golden crown, symbolizing the U.S. and South Korea's alliance to bring about peace in South Korea and to bring South Korea and the U.S. closer together. So I believe it's good to be in prayer for America, President Trump, the U.S. military, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.